All right, welcome everyone to the Winning Wimbledon live broadcast. My name is Ramon Osa, and I'm here with my partner Mark Jeffrey. Mark, who played on Wimbledon, actually, Army tennis champion, and we're going to have a very special guest for you guys today. His name is Vlado Platinic, who is probably the world's foremost Grand Slam development coach, and he's taken multiple women from relative obscurity into the top 100, top 50, and top 20. And so he's going to have some really great insights for you guys. Mark, how you doing today?
Ramon, absolutely great. Thank you. And what a great way to kick off our channel because it is the key question. How do you qualify for the main draw of Wimbledon? How do you qualify for the qualifying? And how do you win through to qualifying to get on the main draw? Or how do you get a pick because you're in the top 100? And that's what Vlado will be talking about. That's what we'll be grilling him about. And the lessons are for all of us that if we've been in with the pack at our level for year after year, decade after decade, what does it take? And Raquel's just learning this too. What does it take to break out of the pack and get into a new pack? Tell me about Raquel.
Yeah, so my wife, you guys, for you that don't know, she picked up tennis relatively late, and now she is USTA playing every weekend, it seems like, and served up a nice double bagel yesterday to her opponents. And on the drive home, I said, did you get that juice and those butterflies that you have right before an important match? Because it was the first match of the season, had never played the women that she was about to play before. And she goes, "Oh yeah, I definitely felt that." But at a certain level, she knows that it's time for her to move on to the next level because ultimately we don't want to just blow people out of the water. We want that juice, and you get that juice when it's tight. And Mark, you know something about pressure. You have not only played at Wimbledon, but you were in the Army, and that is the greatest pressure. What is your view on pressure itself, and how are these contestants going to be able to navigate it?
It's a great question. So our special forces, in fact our military, would say is that pressure is just a conversation you have with yourself. Pressure is a symptom of an untrained mind. But when we get to Wimbledon, and you just got to walk through the gates to know, even if there's no crowd, you are in the theatre, the cathedral of tennis. It's a very special feeling. And yes, I was lucky to play on the grass courts a month after Wimbledon, year after year for about 12 years of my military service. And then for a few years more when I know you won't believe this, when I went past 40 and played in the plus 40s. So yeah, and every time just walk through the gates and you step from being, even when you haven't changed, never mind got on court, you step from being Mark Jeffrey to, oh my God. So now let's usefully talk about, because this is the domain of Vlado as well, is you walk out on center court with a crowd, with a worldwide audience. It's a 2-week tournament. Every other tournament apart from Grand Slams is 1 week. You're in the locker room and you get into pressure. You get into trauma, particularly, closing out those big points, closing out the match, closing out the sets, breaking. It's all trauma points. How do you cope with it? What do you say to yourself? What's your self-fulfilling prophecy?
It's such a great question. And I think we've all, if we're playing competitive tennis for a while now, we've all been in that situation where maybe a match was seemingly in the bag and we were cruising, and then a couple of bad shots go through and you start to doubt yourself and your opponent starts to pick up steam. And I've had this happen to me a couple of times. And when you end up losing that match, the emotion that you feel, first of all, you don't wish it on anyone because it is a terrible feeling. But that feeling is so strong in that moment that your brain takes a snapshot and it converts it into a long-term memory. And so what we don't realize is that thinking back to that moment as you recall it actually produces the same emotions that you were experiencing when you first had it. And so if you've got this memory that's in there, and if you've been playing competitive tennis long enough, you've definitely had this experience. The question is, how can you move through that emotion and not let it change what you think about yourself on the tennis court?
Great little segue into Djokovic. So I watched one of his interviews today, and he said something really interesting, but it's only really interesting if you know the subject matter. And first of all, he's gone unbeaten on grass for 28 matches on the trot. He's got to win 7 on the bounce to win. And what he said was that as a 19-year-old, just breaking into the top 100, came to Wimbledon, had 2 5-setters, and got through to the 4th round. Had a very good account of himself on centre court. And he says that he always has this special feeling, this special energy when he walks out on centre court. It's like home to him. So home, tie breaks, big points. Djokovic feels at home. And clearly the self-fulfilling prophecy is that he's going to win, even if he doesn't know how he's going to win, even if his opponent gives it to him. The opponent, on the other hand, might be in trauma world with the brain going, oi, stop this. Let's get off court as soon as possible, man. This hurts.
Yeah, 100%. And by the way, if you guys are tuning into this live, we have a Winning Wimbledon community, which is a free group that you can join. I'll probably post a comment down below if I can find where it is, which I will do. And in this group, it's a collection of competitive amateur tennis players that are all in the same boat. We all want to win more matches. We all want to have more fun on the tennis court. And we have some really amazing guests that we're going to be bringing on during the couple of weeks here at Wimbledon. And we might just keep this thing going for a while now. So I will post a link to that. It's free to join down below. And we should be having Vlado on here in a second. If you're tuning in late, this is the Winning Wimbledon live show. My partner, Mark Jeffrey, and I, we've been doing winning training for a couple of years now, and we're very fortunate to get to work with some amazing people. And so what we want to give you guys over these 2 weeks are some really practical and actionable ways that you can start to train to win those 2 points more than your opponent. And Mark, I'd love to ask you about this because I know there are a lot of players out there that are kind of feeling stuck with, the way that they've been progressing or not progressing in tennis. And you've created something that takes into account what the stats show. And I'd love for you to talk about the stats a little bit and maybe what we're missing in our training.
Very good. What we're missing in the training, first of all, is a separate topic all by itself. And we have Lenny Schloss as our resident Grand Slam genius with Billie Jean King. We have a few interviews with him. So he's going to go into what is the training to produce a Grand Slam winner and what's different about them. But the good news is the stats say you don't have to improve a lot. In fact, you might not have to improve at all. All you're going to do is win a couple more points, but the relevant points. So in terms of stats, if I just asked everybody the question, which is the Djokovic's and Federer's and Nadal's that over the last decade or so have been dominant, like they've won nearly all the Grand Slams, vast amount of prize money, the glory in the titles. Hello, Vlado.
Hey, Vlado, how are you?
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Hi, man. Look, relax, and I'll just finish off the stats, and then we'll come to you. So if I was to ask you, for all this worldwide dominance over a decade or more, what percentage of the points have the greats won over 11 months of the season? What would be your guess? If you're around, put it in the chat box or just write it on a piece of paper. Because the actual answer is around 54.6% of the points. So two conclusions. One is that they've lost 45.4% of the points, something like that. They've lost a lot of points, and they've just won a few points more. So you only need to win 51, 52% of points, and you've won the match. And some of the other stats that we'll get into later this week on winning from the baseline, winning from the net, winning serve and volley is all based on how can we win 2 points more. So the answer, Ramon, is you don't have to get much better. You just need to get a bit more savvy and be like a Grand Slam winner and nut out 2 more points against the Grand Slam loser. With that, Vlado, welcome, man. It's been a few months.
Yes. Hi, guys. Sorry, I was super busy, as you know. So, yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Well, it's so exciting
Let
to
me
have
just-
you, Vlado. Oh, Mark, you want me to?
No.
I'll bring on.
You kick off with the first question.
Okay, great. So for those of you that don't know, Vlado is a Grand Slam development coach, and in a very rare field, because a few people may have taken a player into the top 100 once, but Vlado has done it repeatedly, and we're very fortunate to have him today because he clearly knows something that I think all of us would love to know. So, Vlado, I'd just like to get some background on you. How long did you play on the circuit, on the tour?
Well, I was playing probably like 6 or 7 years. Unfortunately, it was impossible for me because, I was coming from former Czechoslovakia, and even I was like top 10 in the World Juniors. The system here was financially not allowing me to continue my career. And so that's why I chose to go into the coaching field, and even I was deciding to go to study or do this job. I told myself that either I can do it successfully or I will quit. So I was getting education, university education, especially for tennis. And also, I had a lot of experience from the previous, let's say, Czech and Slovak education system, because we had one of the best systems in the past. And that's why we had so many great champions like Ivan Lendl and Martina Navratilova. And we were really developed not only on the tennis court, but also off the tennis court with a lot of theoretical knowledge and so on. Yeah.
Outstanding. And you've played at the Grand Slams before?
Sorry, I kind of know.
Let me just chip in. Vlado, can you hear? Testing 1 2.
Yes, I lost you for a while. Yeah.
Okay. How many years?
What was the question?
Away? How many years were you coaching your proteges on the tour?
Well, since the year of 2000, I started, so it's now 23, almost 24 years now.
Wow.
I started young. I was 24, 25 years old, and I was.
We might have lost Vlado's connection. Well, hopefully he jumps back in here. But
yeah, can you hear me now?
Oh,
yeah,
we hear you.
How many Grand Slams have your proteges been to, and you, for that matter?
Oh my gosh! I mean, probably 80 Grand Slams.
Wow.
So that means you've
Maybe more.
taken 80 people from relative obscurity, no ranking points, little money in the bank.
No, I'm talking
into
about
top 100.
no. I'm talking about 80 Grand Slams in my life with the players that I coached.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm not saying you've taken 80 players there.
No. I took probably like 5 or 6 players out of 2, 3, 400 to the Grand Slams, or actually 2 of those players I took to top 20 out of like 200, 400s. Yeah.
It's amazing. And so, Vlado, if our theme is sort of how can we bring some of the secrets that you have, that clearly you're doing this repeatedly, to the sort of average competitive tennis player who's, he's playing USTA league matches. What kind of secrets or insights could you give us that would help people in their quest to become a better and more effective tennis player?
Yeah, well, I heard a little bit of what Mark was saying, that, like with a little bit of more percentage, you are winning the matches. Everybody thinks you have to be 100% better than your opponent or 50% better than your opponent. But I can tell you that only with 5 or 10% being better than your opponent, you are already winning 6-3, 6-3, which is which looks very easy score. So the differences on every level are very, very little. And this is what it is, that, I work privately and I work with one-on-one, which is very difficult, and full dedication to the player. Where I'm trying to teach the young players, mostly I'm taking 16, 17 years old players, good juniors, and I'm trying to teach them that every day, when they are working with a little bit more discipline, a little bit better coaching, where we are trying to work on details, it doesn't matter if it's technical, tactical, or mental. That's where, after 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, they are making the 5% difference. And this 5% difference means that they are moving fast up the rankings. There is no 10 or 20 or 30% improvement. It's impossible. But the most important thing is, like I said, that we set some goals in every field, and we work towards this goal, and we are really very, very disciplined about those goals. We don't back up. We stay positive, even, it's sometimes, of course, you end up losing, but you always have to focus on the improvements that you want to do in your coming weeks, months, and so on, because you need short-term goals and you need long-term goals. For me, the short-term goals are the goals where, for example, when I see that the player has a technical issue on the forehand, and the player is not able to play without this shot, then we have short-term to improve this kind of basic stuff. And then the long-term can be, for example, transfer to play volleys, or mixing up the rhythm, learning slice, learning more spin, changing the pace, of course. So that's what I mean. Like, first we have to build the base, and when I see problems in the base, that's mean technical stuff, we work on that, and then we move quickly to some other improvements. Then obviously there is a lot of stuff going on in the head. The kids, or the players who are 16, 17, 18, they are struggling mostly with themselves. But even the top players, you can see many times they're struggling with themselves, and this is what needs to come in. But it's all connected. The tennis tactics and the mental, has to be connected, because they need to start to believe in the shot that they were not believing. They need to start into the tactics they were not believing. So it has to. It's a very, how do you call it? Like it's an ant work. It's a micro improvements, and you have to always give them the right advice in the right moment, because sometimes some coaches, they overdo, they give too much information. Some coaches, they don't give enough information, or the information that they give on tennis, they are not able to give them the mental information or the tactical information. So this is what is so difficult, that the coach is trying to see the whole picture and put a little puzzle together.
And then
It's
the
quite a
question
puzzle.
is, yeah, where do they get the information for the puzzle? Because obviously there's YouTube gurus and local tennis coaches.
You
So
can see
that's a
this on the
difficult one.
tour. You cannot imagine how many frustrated players and parents are coming to me, and I heard on many let's say internet talks like we have now. I've heard that from the really good coaches, long uh, term coaches on the tour. I know those guys. They're really 15, 20 years on the tour. They made the development. There is not too many, actually. There is not too many development coaches on the tour, and that's what is the problem. Like you said, there is a lot of gurus. They are good motivators, uh, and so on. But you really don't have too many coaches where you can say, like, this coach developed this player from junior age to top 20, top 10, and the coach is still with the player. Most of the time you can see that especially in the women's tennis, that the girls, they improve to top 20, top 30, top 10, and suddenly they are firing their coaches. So this is the game where, obviously, I'm sorry to say that, but there is more money coming, and then there is more people coming also involved who are trying to get the advantage. And I was called from the Italian press. I was called cotton coach, and I was like, what do you mean? Why are you calling me cotton coach? And the journalist told me, like, like, you take cotton, you make a T-shirt, and somebody else wears it after. So
Oh, wow.
this is absolutely, the hard part of my job, because I really enjoy to work with a lot of talented players that I used to work. But this is the sad part of that I really got fired when the player got to top 20 or so, and after 3 years working through the small tournaments, really suffering, because obviously when you get to the higher ranking, the life is changing for everybody. It's a little bit more comfort, a little bit better planning. When you are 400 in the world, it's very difficult to plan, because you don't know which tournament you're going to get in, and so on and so on. You are struggling with the money, you are struggling with everything. And this is the sad part of tennis, that I see this. Many coaches, they didn't make it. I know a few coaches that really they did the work, they improved the players to top 20, top 10, they got fired, and now they really have problems, psychological problems, because you give up so much. You go through really hard times, and then kind of, your whole life work, maybe 5 years, 10 years work is gone, and you have to start
Wow.
from zero. Those kids, those players, those families, when you put them to top 20 in the world, they are ending up already with 4, 5, 6 million, and also good enough knowledge for a couple of years to still stay top 100 or better. So you create for them a very, very good base and very good situation in their lives, and then you get dumped, like, it's not very nice.
Vlado,
Wow.
Mark told me, and by the way, if you guys are tuning in to Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, we have a free community. It's called Winning Wimbledon Live, and we're going to be bringing on expert guests like Vlado, like Lenny Schloss, who is Billie Jean King's front hand man, and we're going to be doing a lot of training on how you can take some of the secrets that Vladimir is talking about and apply it into your game. So, Vlado, you just took on an American player, and Mark's telling me about this young lady. Tell us a little bit about her, and are we going to see her at the U.S. Open?
Oh, well, I don't want to say this, but I'm pretty happy with the situation now, because it's a very nice girl, very humble. She's working hard. She has great potential, but I have seen a lot of potential in a lot of players, never made it. So it's all about how hard she can work, how she can to go through the whole tough part of tennis, traveling and being away from home and fighting every week. So for now, she did well. We are working since like 5 months now, and the last 2 months they were very successful. She moved from like 275 to number 168 now, I think.
Wow.
So definitely she will be in the qualis of US Open. We are going to play some more tournaments now in Europe, and then slowly move to the hard courts in the US. I don't think we have enough time probably to make the main draw. It would be a miracle, but obviously she did more than 110 spots in a couple of months now. The first months were difficult. She was struggling with technique, with tactics, mentally, physically. So we are building slowly, but not slowly. Actually, she did one of the biggest improvements on the tour. Not too many players improved from 270 to 160 in a couple of months. So this is pretty good. But yes, definitely the qualities of US Open, and it all depends on the USTA, because if she maybe makes some good results now in the coming weeks, maybe she will be awarded the wild card for main draw. Because
Wow.
she's American. Yeah.
Wow.
It's so
yeah, that's a
exciting.
possibility. So when you're the coach of her in the US Open, don't discard the humble Ramones and Mark Jeffries. Would love to interview you at the US Open. That'll be fabulous.
Yes. I would
Thank
be
you,
glad
man. What's your insight? What's your pick of the ladies' draw at Wimbledon?
Well, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. As you know that Swiatek is playing really good. Of course, she's the favorite of most on most of the tournaments. So I would go with Swiatek, or Rybakina. She was not feeling very well since Roland Garros, but obviously she is also potentially dangerous on grass, big server.
Do you have a wild card, dark horse?
I like Sabalenka, but this will depend how she can control her mental stage. So yeah, I mean, in women tennis everything is possible nowadays, and but these 3 or 4 players, are favorite.
Great. Ramon, I've got one last question, actually. And bearing in mind, this is really for our viewers who are competitive amateur tennis players, that form will vary probably quite wildly. Emma Raducanu, so not necessarily the person, just the activity. So she won the US Open, and if that's the only thing she does in life, I think everybody would go, I trade that. I win the US Open. Thank you. She's obviously dropped off since then and has got injuries and operations. From the insight of a tennis player, how do you come back from operations, injuries to capture your best form?
Well, I was pretty close to Raducanu family, and I cannot say that I don't like something. They're really trying. It's very hard position for the girl. She's young. Obviously, there is, like I said, there is 1 million friends now, and 1 million coaches, and 1 million people giving advice. So it's very difficult to choose the right thing for her. Obviously, with the injuries, I think probably because of trying so hard, she was overdoing stuff, and this is important that somebody can get this under control, somebody who is experienced. And so she needs a coach who is experienced, who will load the practice session the right way, the fitness session the right way, who will, I have a problem with her forehand. She's playing too many open forehands. She needs to, be more stable. She's jumping and twisting on her forehand. She needs to be more close stance forehand, and she needs to be more stable on her legs, So this is something that I would try to improve. And obviously, like, it's very difficult to not read and not be under pressure. She's trying to, but maybe she shouldn't try to be under pressure. She should just take it as it is and just do her own thing. But obviously she needs somebody good to direct her, and she needs to listen. She needs to go the right way. Yeah.
Well, Vlado,
Just listening to you.
Mhm.
Sorry, Ramon, you crack on.
I was just wanted to thank you so much, Vlado, for coming on and sharing your insights and your stories with us. Guys, we are going to be doing this live every day over the next 2 weeks, bringing on special guests like Vlado and really get you some great training on how you can win more of these tight matches. And tomorrow, Mark and I are going to be talking about the men's draw. We're going to be getting into pressure, the juice, and how you guys can start going through these processes in a match that we all experience. Doesn't matter if you're a professional player or if you're a USTA 3.0 player, weekend warrior, you are going to be dealing with pressure. And so one of the things Mark and I love talking about and bringing on special guests like Vlado, who have been doing this at such a high level for so long, is we get to get into these topics with you guys. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Vlado, thank you again for coming on. Really appreciate your time.
No problem. Thank you guys doing this. It's so nice for the tennis community. And if you want to talk to me in the next days, I will be glad to do it again.
Oh,
Oh,
awesome.
Vlado, big heart. Thank you.
No problem, guys. Nice talking to you. All the best.
Nice talking to you, Vlado. Mark, thank you so much. We'll
Bye.
see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Same time, same bat channel.
Bye.